Who better than me?
Welcome back to a rather impromptu episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. So I'd literally just finished watching the Anthony Joshua interview. An hour long. Now depending on who it is, I quite like the long interviews. I feel like you get a lot of insight into them. And the longer they are, the less guarded someone tends to be. So you normally end up getting some nuggets of information they actually weren't trying to get out, because the longer you do something, your brain starts to wander from it. Your concentration ain't the same. You start letting out little things. Now, I'm not going to say this was one of those type of interviews as such, but he did quite a lot of talking without really revealing much. The one thing we do know is that Rob McCracken is still the head guy, for now at least. AJ is very much on the tip of, I want to go do my own thing, but you can always be a part of the camp, can always be a part of the team. Now, to be honest, depending on what kind of percentage Rob's getting, per fight, it kind of makes sense where Anthony Joshua almost compared him to like Sir Alex Ferguson. Shout out to the greatest, by the way. But yeah, when you look at it, there became a point where Sir Alex wasn't out there doing the tactics every day. He wasn't taking the training. Like he wasn't running the drills. He would be in his office. He would be entrusting those specific aspects to his assistant manager and some of the other coaches, people like Eric Steele and Carlos Quiros, and even Mike Phelan back in the day, like those kind of guys. And so you say, okay, I'm here to round things off, to give you the last bits of pep talk that you need just to keep you sharp, to keep your mind focused, but let these men do the dog work. Let these men actually implement the tactics day in and day out. Now, if Rob adopts that kind of style, yeah, like I don't see a problem with that. You be there just to oversee and make sure, that no injuries ain't happening and things like that. And ultimately, just sort of keeping the mind focused, keeping level headed. Like, yo, I don't care how much money you gotta stay focused, otherwise you're gonna lose it all. That kind of thing. I would say that. Now we don't know who he's ultimately gonna be training with for this next fight. He might end up training with a bunch of people, similar to what he did the other day. He literally might just go from one place, go to another, just do that, and then maybe in the last 3-4 weeks of camp comes back to the core team, says, this is what I've been learning, let's work on this, and make them have to adapt to what he wants to do. Now, I actually think this is probably one of his best interviews that he's ever done, but it still weren't perfect. There's still certain things in there where I'm like, really? Is that how you're gonna drop it? Like, for instance, when he said about the game plan, he's like, well, you're gonna have to ask my coaches, like, because I don't deal with the game plan. Like, I'm a product of what they teach me. So if they are not teaching me the right things, then ultimately the wrong things are gonna happen. But for a man that says he's a sponge, he can soak up knowledge, he's a fast learner, he's a quick learner. So then don't you learn very quickly that what you're doing is not working? Or what you're doing might be okay, but there's quickly a better way to do something. Like the best ring IQs are the ones that have that first game plan, But even when things are going all right, can realize, right, let me switch it up quick before he adapts to what I've just done. Like, let's look at a man like Floyd. So Floyd used to take a couple rounds normally at the start to understand what someone's doing, understand process that they are. Okay, he's doing this. So, for instance, all right, if he's about to, if he always shoots the double jab and then comes underneath and then tries to hit the uppercut, all right, when he goes to shoot that double jab, I'm gonna slip to his left side, which prevents him from now being able to shoot the second jab. So which means the uppercut's gonna have to stop. He's gonna have to reset before he can do that. By the time he's reset, jab, bang, right in the face, touched him. Now he's felt the power. He understands that that power is there. Or no, if you notice that someone inches forward like 3 steps, they normally do 3 inch steps before they pop the straight 1 2. Yeah. Okay, so when you see them go for that first, you step in to prevent that jab from being able to come out, which means the second one can't. And then at that point, you turn them and you put them in a position that you want them to be in. For example, that I'm not saying this is things that literally happen, but I'm saying when it comes to IQ, you have to quickly learn either what someone else is doing and to make sure that whatever you're doing is able to counteract that. And if you can't counteract it with what you're currently doing, then you need to find a way of doing something that is going to do that. For instance, not even the greatest of examples, but let's look at, for instance, Dillian White in the Joseph Parker fight, for instance. He realized that Parker had faster hands than him from early on. Now, I'm not gonna say the headbutt was intentional the first time round, but he quickly realized, okay, I've got to get in on this guy. I can't let him have space. I can't let him have his range. I've got to grapple him. I've got to push him around. I've got to be dirty. I've got to almost want to clothesline him over the ropes. I've literally just got to put this guy in a position where he can't utilize his best attributes. Now, so far, that's not really something I've seen from AJ as yet. Like, he's very good on the front foot, and he can box on the back foot a little bit, but there's not enough nullifying of what someone else is doing. I think he's always kind of traded on, just generally speaking, being the bigger guy, the taller guy, the rangier guy, the guy with more power, maybe even the more athletic guy. Because the only person he's fought that's taller than him, if I remember correctly, was Joe Cornish. Okay, I don't know if Joe Cornish was, but I think they was the same height. But Dominic Brazil was an inch taller. But AJ had all the other natural advantages. He had the speed advantage, maybe not the power, but he had the accuracy. He had the better boxing IQ. So all the advantages would end up in his favor, and he's always been able to box as the guy with the natural advantages. Even in the Klitschko fight, the biggest advantage that Klitschko had over him was experience. But physically, AJ was the bigger, stronger guy in terms of just body at the time. Don't know if he was more powerful, because Klitschko has always been revered as one of the hardest hitters we had, Vladimir. But everything else, again, was kind of in his favor. So I don't know. But he now has got to put himself in a position and in a mindset of, I can't rely on my naturally better gifts to get this done. And I think he even alluded to that in the interview where he said, look, I've got these natural advantages that I'm supposed to be able to use, but I didn't really get to use them. And he even said Usyk obviously said he had 400 amateur fights, so it's 350. But he said Usyk's probably been in there with a ton of guys that just wanted to rough him up. So that's not gonna phase him. I've got to do things that are different to what he's normally seeing, what he's used to seeing. So yeah, I liked that part. But again, the not knowing necessarily who's training, maybe that's even a good thing, to be fair. People say, oh, we don't know for clarity who is next trainer. Maybe we don't need to. Maybe that's the better part of the game plan. Don't let no one know what's going on, who you're actually with. Go train with one guy for 2 weeks, another guy for 2 weeks, another guy for 3 months, and come back. Because ultimately, we normally think to ourselves, you can't learn everything that someone wants to teach you in one training, in sort of like one training camp. They always say, oh, it takes 2 to 3 camps to. So maybe if you're just going back and picking up one tiny little bit from here, 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 and here, and here, even if it's not necessarily something where someone else can visualize it being a cohesive um, product, you might say, well, I don't need it to be cohesive. I just need to know how to do it. So at some point, when the chips are down, I might just think to try and resonate that knowledge out of myself instantly in that moment and get it cracking. So that in itself could be a decent play. Um, he was very respectful but very diggy at Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and finally, like, obviously, yeah, he said certain little bits and pieces here and there, but I like it, I'm proud of Fury for having his first title defense, and now he realizes it's not as easy as maybe he thought it was, because he was talking about the second fight with Wilder being super easy, and this one was a lot more physical, a lot harder, because now you're the champ and the weight of expectations is all on you. I like that. And then when he was like, yo, I could have done the same to half of them cans that Wilder was fighting before. All of a sudden, we've seen he step up in level a couple times, and he realized it ain't that easy. Now he all of a sudden wants to learn to box. But yo, good luck to him. And if he does decide to apply himself, he got another good 4 or 5 years. Go do it. And I don't think Wilder's gonna be around for that long. To be fair, I say another 2 years max. 2.5 maximum. I think he's got another 3 fights maybe, and he's out. He's gonna he's gonna take a Robert Helenius fight next. I can almost see that as the next one. Maybe one last one, maybe one other one, and then the Andy Ruiz one, or the Andy Ruiz, and then like another maybe gimme fight, and then sit off into sunset. I think his main thing is not wanting to end his career on a loss. So he'll fight someone that he's supposed to be able to beat, just to kind of say, yeah, I left on my feet rather than on my back or on my shield. Um, what else did he say? Oh well, I very much like the fuck Bob Aaron shit. Like, that was great, because yeah, Bob talks a lot of shit about a lot of people, and he's very two faced. I mean, look, they all are. Eddie's been two faced. Look at Eddie, how we used to talk about Amir Khan, and all of a sudden, our Khan's his best friend when he signed it. So I get it, but Bob talks a wicked amount of shit when it comes to AJ, and it's just like, where does this animosity come from? Yeah, I know at one point you tried to sign the guy, and he chose not to sign with you, but then at that point, every single person he fights is gonna beat him. Everyone's better than him. He's a pump. He all he is a pumped up stiff bodybuilder. Like, every single person. That's when you know it's more than just an opinion. It's an agenda. Because half the people that Bob said would be AJ never really stood a chance to beat AJ, even if AJ came into the fight at 40%. Like, Pulev was never going to beat him regardless, for instance, and he made that a lot harder than it needed to be. But Pulev was never going to do it. Who else? Like, realistically, Takam was never going to do it. But I swear Bob even said, oh, that Takam probably going to cause the upset as well. Like, I'm not going to say much about the Joseph Parker thing, because most people who know me know my opinion on that fight. I don't want to bring that to here because that's old, and it doesn't really let's just say the take itself is still fine, but based on recent events, it doesn't necessarily age well. Just based off what Parker's been doing recently, but we'll leave that there. Um, I also like the part where he said, "Look, I don't get the luxury of having warm up fights. What am I gonna have warm up fights for? Like the best fight, the best, so iron sharpens iron. Ultimately, a warm up fight is gonna give you a full sense of security because you're supposed to take this person out and beat this person, and yeah, okay, yeah, you're gonna feel great, but then when it comes back to the next test, you might not be prepared for what they're gonna do. So yeah, take the hard fights back to back to back. I agree. Now, I'm not saying he's taking on the greatest of competition every single time, but he's taking the fights he's being told to take. Like mandatories, dealing with the mandatories. The voluntaries, he's not picking no cream puffs for voluntaries. Andy Ruiz wasn't a cream puff. Like even having to take on Takam instead of Pulev the first time, like, Takam at that point was a legit top 10 in the world. So I respect the resume. I've always respected the resume, and that's still one of the reasons why I have him like high up. He even said, "Yo, these other man, Fury, Wilder, like, yeah, cool, they fought each other and everything. That's cool, but like, you can't be talking about legacy, and there ain't enough bodies on the record. Like, you ain't, they're not there." He goes, "So you guys need to fight more of these people. You can't just like call it quits. Now you got to fight these people for the sport, for heavyweights." I respect it. What else did he say in the interview? It was an hour long. Oh yes, he was talking about like other people talking for him as well. No, all right. So again, when I say go back to it wasn't perfect, yeah, okay. So other people talk for you, but other people talk for you because you let them talk for you because you don't talk for yourself. Like imagine this is the first time, barring media, for the fight that you just had, that anyone's heard you speak. Now I'm not saying you got to be even talking to the IFLs and the boxing socials and seconds out or like, but you can be talking little sound bites here and there to maybe some of the smaller upcoming channels. Like have those conversations. Or if someone, for instance, says, "Oh, I just spoke to AJ yesterday. He was thinking X, Y, and Z," and you don't agree, look at your Instagram platform, your Twitter platform. You can put out your own video and say, "Yo, X, Y, and Z said this about this situation. That's not what I said, and that's not how I feel. This is how I feel." Where like you could literally take a minute of your time to address certain rumors whenever, and and that way you're still communicating with the people, and you're not putting that power in the hands of a Kugan Cassius or a Rob Tebbett or someone like that who then might put some outrageous caption which totally changes the frame of what it was that you said in the first place. And obviously the worst person for that is flipping Umar. Like, I'm not gonna get into no deep thing, but like, of all the people in IFL, like that brother's the one that I'd be most happy with if he wasn't there. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of Coogan, but he's got skin in the game, so he can do what he's doing. To be honest, I like Razaban and I like Oscar Bevis, and obviously the Scottish brother as well, who Andrew McCart. Yeah, like those ones are fine. Obviously, different flavors for different regions. Cool. Oscar Bevis, I think, should be getting a lot more play on IFL than he does because I actually think he's the best interviewer they got. But that's another story. That's not, we can leave that sort of there. But yeah, don't let people speak for you. Speak for yourself. Which okay, you've done it now, but do it more. I'm not like I said. I'm not saying be in front of the cameras all the time, but you've got a camera phone. The same way you can go on an Instagram live, you can have 100,000, 200,000 people instantaneously see something you say, and you can set a record straight without having to worry about, oh, my words was taken wrong, this into disrepute, whatever. Like, oh, they're lying on me, or they think this, they think that. Like, yeah, you know. But I guess also some of that might be the marketing. Oh, keep people talking about me, keep my name in their mouths, keep my face on their brain. Who knows? But look, ultimately, like I said, it's very rare for me to actually just react off of an actual interview, but it was a big one and it was kind of needed. There's probably a lot of other things that I've missed. Like I said, I've just watched it and it's an hour long, so certain things I take from it, other things I don't. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I want to see more of that. And if I touch on the fight quickly, based on the mindset he says he's going in the ring with, I've got to I've got to give him a lot more of a chance than I did the first time because I predicted that Usyk was going to win the first one. However, it's all well and good saying that, but we don't know if that's really the case. Now, maybe you're just angry because obviously people are doubting whatever, but once you lose a certain mentality, it's very hard to get it back. I'm gonna give you an example, right? Even man them that who are on the roads or respected on the streets, but they've mellowed out in later life, they can never truly go back to what they were. Like, yeah, you might have to go and do a bit of dirt here and there and whatnot, but you ain't really that same killer that you used to be because life has changed you. Your priorities have changed. Like, you've mellowed out. So it goes back to me. Now, I always bring this up for some people. Like, people who know me will know this. Quick diatribe, quick tangent. Like, my transition from being in like primary school to being in secondary school was hella different. Like in primary school, pretty much every day I was fighting, punching people up. Like it got to a point where I was essentially when I got to year six in primary school, I was top dog of my school. Like no one in my school would trouble me because they knew that I had them hands. I got to secondary school now, and I got given one piece of information at the open day before we even started, which all of a sudden, oh, now I'm not allowed to fight anymore. I can't fight because if I fight, I'm gonna get suspended. I'm gonna get expelled. Like parents is gonna be on me. Rare, rare, rare. Mellowed down. All of a sudden, that same fire and anger that I used to have, and that same competitiveness to just wanna, do damage all the time, it just left. And very rarely, yeah, it might come back in little spurts, but just not the same guy. And I say that to say I feel as if after the Andy Ruiz the defeat, and you change that even after the as he said after the Klitschko one, like I can't be having these wars all the time. Well, the fact that you're thinking I can't be having these wars, I've got to change, means that you now don't have the same dog because you don't want to go in there and take the same punches that you took before, knowing that after a while this could have a detrimental effect to you. Like he literally said it in an interview. So I feel as if him saying, "Oh yeah, like if I got a dash man down, I'm a dash man down." Like, I don't know if you really, really got that about you right now. Like you're gonna have to show me something beforehand that makes me believe, yeah, that's truly what's cracking moving forward. But I do like the mentality of no warm ups, go back in, take on God, like metaphorically take him on and see if you can be a God slayer. So I respect it, and I mean I was looking forward to the rematch anyway. I'm looking forward to it even more now. Um, Anyone who knows me knows what I think about Usyk, so I can never like. I mean, I'm not gonna be putting my heart behind AJ like that, but if he were to pull off the rematch, I would still hold some proudness there. But yeah, like I said, anyone who knows me knows about why I like Usyk and other stuff. I won't address it here. Can address that on like undefeated. That's where that will remain for now. But yeah, talked about it enough. If there's anything I've missed, like put it down in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching. like and subscribe, share, and as always, hardcore casual out.